Despite only debuting a handful of female idols thanks to their long-standing girl group ban, the few female idols that HYBE does have ironically been involved in many of the worst girl group scandals in K-pop history. With one of the members involved in a legal controversy, the agency no longer finds it actually got worse for G-Friend, when they ended up abruptly disbanding. In 2021, after her teasers were released, numerous accusations began to pop eyebrows due to its questionable lyrics. But thankfully, NewJeans and the Sserafim are starting to bounce back after their rocky beginnings. Well, that was 2 years ago, and considering how well the Sserafim and NewJeans were doing, I honestly thought that the HYBE girl group curse had finally been broken. But at last, Plofessors, we're here again because the curse has come back with a vengeance, and I felt like it was about time I made an update. If you haven't seen my previous video, that was where I covered the tragic downfalls of HYBE's older girl groups such as Glam and G-Friend, all the way to the controversial debuts of the Sserafim and NewJeans in 2022, and I'll be linking that in the description below. But in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the state of affairs at HYBE since then, and from each group's numerous controversies to a company-wide feud between these girl groups, I think it's safe to say that things have never been more chaotic, and we definitely have a lot to get through. So without further ado, let's turn our attention to the first group on the list, the Sserafim. So where we last left off, the Sserafim had been dealing with the Ga-down controversy, and they were also facing disapproval from some G-Friend fans who felt like the sub-label Source Music had disbanded G-Friend in order to debut the Sserafim. But thankfully, the Sserafim managed to overcome these early scandals quite well, and in fact, they even went on to release many back-to-back hits like Anti-Fragile, Unforgiven, and Perfect Night. However, beneath all the success, new controversies were slowly starting to build up once again, and it would all come to a head in 2024, causing the Sserafim to become probably the most hated group of the year. But before we go further, I wanted to thank the sponsor of today's video, Uber Eats.
Hey, Evangeline, are you almost done filming? I'm getting a little bit hungry.
Yeah, me too. Oh, it's raining. I don't really want to go outside.
Oh yeah, you're right. It really is raining heavily.
Dude, this is the perfect time for Uber Eats.
Oh yeah! What do you guys want to eat?
And by the way, I have a coupon code PLOOPY15 to get us $15 off.
No way.
Uber Eats is a reliable and convenient way to order your food wherever you are, with couriers delivering food straight to your doorstep. And the best part is you can now use my discount code PLOOPY15 to get $15 off your first order of $20 or more. So what are you waiting for? Be sure to download Uber Eats and try it out today. Now back to the video. Things first began to go downhill during promotions for the group's album Easy, which was released back in February. The comeback did not sit well with many Christian and Catholic fans who were offended by the use of religious imagery in Easy's music video and teasers. This was quickly followed by Hee Jin's Starbucks scandal, where she was caught holding a Starbucks cup, which many international fans interpreted as being pro-Israel in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And things weren't much better back in Korea either, with Inche becoming the subject of another controversy when she supposedly mocked Korean students during a live stream. But the straw that broke the camel's back was definitely the scandal surrounding the group's singing skills, or supposed lack thereof. To be honest, this was a problem that had been simmering in the background for years, with netizens often pointing out the group's questionable vocal performances. But I think what really brought this issue to the forefront was when the Sserafim was invited to perform at Coachella in April. Now, I'm not gonna deny the facts. The performance wasn't very good, okay? But the amount of hate that the Sserafim got was honestly blown way out of proportion. Like, I don't think I've seen a single K-pop group get this much hate in years. People were making compilation videos mocking the members singing, their live stages were going viral for all the wrong reasons, and netizens left so many hate comments that the group had to literally disable their comment section on all their social media. And this hate train lasted for months. In fact, some may argue it's still going on to this day. So why did the hate get so bad over something as trivial as bad vocals? After all, if you didn't like a group singing, you could just stop supporting them, right? Well, the situation is actually a bit more complicated than that. It appears that many Koreans were especially upset at Sserafim for singing so poorly at Coachella because it was an international stage, and they felt like their performances reflected badly on the Korean entertainment industry as a whole. So there was almost a national pride element to this. But aside from that, let's not forget that Sserafim had also racked up so many controversies within such a short time span and pissed off so many fans from across the world. From the religious community to the pro-Palestinian fans to the student population, all of these people saw the backlash surrounding Sserafim's Coachella stage and likely used this opportunity to also raise their own grievances with the group. And this was likely how the group's numerous controversies quickly snowballed into one collective, massive avalanche of hate. For their part, HYBE and Source Music also didn't do much to make Sserafim's situation easier. For instance, right when the backlash was at its very peak, they made the odd decision to launch a ridiculously overpriced merch drop. With basic t-shirts costing over $100 and scrunchies costing over $30, this obviously didn't sit well with fans. Why the actual does a pop-up shop merch jacket have to be $800? This is sick. The more I look at this, the crazier it gets. Like $119 for a light stick, $39 for a sticker? Additionally, HYBE also released a docu-series that was supposed to show the struggles of the Sserafim members behind the scenes. And while I don't think the docu-series itself was a bad idea, the problem was that HYBE, once again, released it at the worst time possible. For example, there was a scene where Sakura, who's the member who has received the most criticism for her vocals, was seen crying and suffering from a nervous breakdown during vocal class.
너 왜 이렇게 자신이 없어졌어? 그냥 멈다이 하면서 여기 꽂아야지.
Now, in normal circumstances, I'm pretty sure people would have been much more sympathetic. But considering how the docuseries was released right after the disastrous Coachella stage, it was no surprise that people did not sympathize with Sakura at all. And in fact, it just caused the group to get even more hate. Netizens accused the members of throwing a pity party for themselves instead of trying to improve, and many people also stated that the constant crying and self-pity just seemed to completely contradict the group's supposed rebellious and confident image. But that being said, all hope isn't completely lost for Sserafim. The group recently came back with their latest album, Crazy. Now, obviously, there were many haters out there who were anticipating more disastrous live performances for Crazy, probably so that they could add it to their compilations or whatever. But thankfully, Sserafim managed to prove everyone wrong by actually singing pretty decently. Like, it was definitely an improvement compared to before. So could this be the turning point for Sserafim? Will they finally be able to regain the favor of the general public? I guess only time will tell. But whilst dealing with Sserafim's public controversies has no doubt been troublesome for HYBE, dealing with internal management issues is, well, arguably even worse. Which brings us to the next group on the list, NewJeans. Now that I'm without you. Just 1 year ago, NewJeans was at the top of their game. And with massive hits like Ditto and Super Shy, they were arguably the biggest 5th generation group in the K-pop industry. Yet now, they're facing a potential career-ruining crisis thanks to issues with their sub-label, Adore. It all started in April this year when HYBE headquarters accused Hee Jin, who's NewJeans' creative director and the CEO of Adore, of trying to usurp ownership over the sub-label. Now, the situation is very complicated, so I'm not going to delve too much into the small details, but it is important to note that there is a difference between the CEO and the owner. So even though Hee Jin was the CEO who ran the day-to-day operations, when it came to actual ownership of Adore, she only owned 20% of the shares, whereas HYBE owned the remaining 80%. So what this meant was that HYBE was technically still the main owner and had the final say over Adore and the activities of NewJeans. So okay, with all that in mind, the issue arose when HYBE had allegedly discovered evidence that Hee Jin had been plotting to take over HYBE's share of Adore. So according to HYBE, Hee Jin had been establishing connections with various outside investors for months, and she had been leaking confidential company information and even engaging in unfair hiring practices at Adore to gain the favor of these investors. And then the final part of the plan was that she was going to use rumors and the media to create public pressure against HYBE to force them to sell off their shares of Adore to these investors who would hopefully remain loyal to Hee Jin, thereby giving Hee Jin full control over Adore. Sounds like a complicated plan. Of course, Hee Jin denied all of this, and she claimed that these accusations were created by HYBE to frame her because they were jealous of her success with NewJeans.
저는 어쨌든 오늘 배임으로 고발하신다는 어떤 기사를 본 것 같아요. 오기 전에. 그 전에 마타도어랑 비슷한 관점인 것 같고.
She even went on to hold a press conference where she accused HYBE of consistently sabotaging NewJeans in favor of their other girl groups.
그러니까 저는 솔직히 말하면요, 뉴진스 죽이려고 생각하는 줄 알았어요.
And revealed many shocking stories about the rivalries between the girl groups and sub-labels under HYBE. But we will get more into that later. So this is just a very brief summary of the disagreement, but trust me when I say things got really, really messy. From leaked text messages to literal accusations of witchcraft, both sides were constantly slandering each other in the media, and this turned into a huge public spectacle. Fans were fighting, industry professionals were taking sides, sweater manufacturers were making bank. I mean, this was a nationwide affair, okay? And it lasted for months. In the end though, HYBE was able to fire all of Hee Jin's allies before ultimately forcing Hee Jin herself to step down as Adore's CEO in August. Her position was then given to HYBE's female HR officer, Kim Joo-young, probably because HYBE wanted to combat any accusations that they targeted Hee Jin because of sexism. I see what you did there, HYBE. So it seemed like HYBE had won the battle, and you might have thought that all the chaos was finally over, right? Except there was still one problem. You see, HYBE may have gotten rid of Hee Jin and all the Adore executives who were loyal to her, but she still had 5 key supporters that HYBE simply couldn't fire. And those were, of course, the NewJeans members themselves. It's no secret that the NewJeans members have always had a strong connection to Hee Jin, I guess you can say, so they were unsurprisingly on her side throughout this entire ordeal. Now initially they did try to show their support through subtler ways, but then ever since Hee Jin's dismissal, the members have become a lot more aggressive in their approach. Maybe it's because they feel as if they have nothing more to lose, but they've been making like outright public statements denouncing HYBE and their new CEO. And on the 11th of September, they even secretly went behind their management's back and released a live stream where they created an ultimatum for HYBE. In their live stream, they emphasized the importance of Hee Jin.
Hee Jin 대표님 is not only the person that produces our music, but someone who makes NewJeans who we are. She discusses even the smallest details with us and explains them in ways that we can understand clearly. NewJeans has a distinct color and tone, and this was created with Hee Jin 대표님. She is integral to NewJeans' identity, and we all feel that she is irreplaceable.
And expressed their dissatisfaction over HYBE and their new management.
저희가 대표님께서 해임되셨다는 소식을 그 당일에 기사를 통해서 알게 됐어요. 하이브에 소속된 아티스트 입장으로서 그러한 회사 측의 일방적인 통보는 우리 우리를 진짜 하나도 존중하고 있지 않구나. 새로 들어오신 주영님이라는 분은 저희를 만나서 멤버들을 위한다, 멤버들을 배려한다, 뉴진스가 우선이다 라고 말씀하셨는데 지금까지 일어난 상황들을 보면 그냥 진짜 말만 하셨다는 걸 알 수 있어요. 솔직히 대표님 너무 불쌍하고 그리고 하이브가 그냥 비인간적인 회사로만 보여요. 저희가 이런 회사를 보고 뭘 배우겠어요.
But perhaps the most shocking part of the live stream was towards the end, where they demanded that HYBE reinstate Hee Jin as Adore CEO, and they even gave HYBE's chairman, producer Bang, up to the 25th of September to satisfy their demands.
저희가 원하는 건 민희진 대표님께서 대표로 있으신 경영과 프로듀싱이 통합된 원래의 어도어입니다. 지금 이런 요청을 드리는 건 이것이 하이브와 싸우지 않고 잘 지낼 수 있는 방법이기 때문이고요. 저희의 의견이 잘 전달되었다면 방 회장님 그리고 하이브는 25일까지 어도어를 원래대로 복귀시키는 현명한 결정을 해주시기 바랍니다.
This is probably one of the first times a K-pop group has publicly threatened their company like this, and the live stream has unsurprisingly become a divisive issue amongst netizens. On one hand, some fans believe that NewJeans are doing the right thing by standing up for their beliefs, especially if they're really being mistreated by HYBE. However, there are also many fans who feel as if the girls are being unfair to HYBE. After all, if the accusations against Hee Jin are true, then it makes total sense why HYBE wouldn't want her back in their company. Regardless of where you stand though, I think we can all agree that NewJeans may be committing career suicide with this move. I mean, let's just be honest here. What chance is there that a mega corporation like HYBE is ever going to bow down to a rookie girl group's demands? I just don't see it happening. Future me here. So the 25th has come and gone, and just as I expected, HYBE has refused to reinstate Hee Jin as the CEO. That being said, HYBE has tried to extend the olive branch by allowing Hee Jin to continue on as NewJeans' director. But now we're just waiting to see whether NewJeans will accept this compromise or whether they will continue to push on for their demands to be completely met. Unsurprisingly, with all of these internal conflicts going on, NewJeans' activities have ground to a complete halt. Their fan meetings have been cancelled, their upcoming album has been delayed indefinitely, and considering how they just can't seem to come to an agreement with HYBE, the future honestly doesn't look too bright for this once promising girl group. This time I want ILLIT is a group that debuted under Lift Lab just 6 months ago, yet they too have already been struck with the HYBE curse, with the group experiencing more controversies than most artists experience in years. As a matter of fact, the issues with ILLIT began even before their debut, as all the members were selected through the survival show Are You Next, which right from the start, many fans felt was completely rigged. It seemed like HYBE and Lift already had certain trainees in mind, and more specifically, they seemed to want a cute group that would appeal to the Korean audience. But when this did not align with what viewers of the show wanted, the company seemingly used all sorts of underhanded tactics to try and get their preferred lineup. For instance, some trainees seem to always receive terrible feedback no matter how well they did.
이 노래가 가지고 있는 표현을 할 때 내가 즐거워야 됐다고 생각을 하는데 너무 기술적으로만 보여준 느낌이었어요. 저는 개인적으로. 그래서 그 즐거움이 안 느껴지니까 그 한 부분이 채워지지 않았다고 생각이 들어가지고 그런 부분이 좀 아쉬웠습니다.
While other trainees somehow always received great comments despite their lackluster performances.
별로였는데 기분이 너무 좋았어요. 그 이상을 보여준 것 같아서 앞으로도 굉장히 많이 지켜볼 것 같고.
But when this still failed to change viewer preferences, the company then decided to change the voting system altogether, stating that viewers would now only be able to vote in 2 out of the 6 members, whereas the other members would all be chosen by the judges. Because of these unfair changes, trainees such as Chanel and Jiwoo, who were both talented and extremely popular, were somehow eliminated. Whereas Wonhee, who was the least experienced contestant on the show with less than 2 months of training, ended up winning 1st place. This obviously did not go down well with viewers. Many people wondered why HYBE and ILLIT even bothered to create a survival show if they didn't care about viewers' choices in the first place, while others unfortunately chose to take out their anger on Wonhee and the other winners, causing ILLIT to receive a wave of hate before they even debuted. As if this wasn't bad enough, just weeks before the debut, Youngso, who was perhaps the member that most people were satisfied with, ended up withdrawing from the lineup, leading to even more disappointment amongst the viewers. In the end, the remaining 5 members, Wonhee, Minju, Iroha, Mocha, and Yuna, finally debuted in March of 2024 with the song Magnetic. Although the song did really well on the charts, the criticism surrounding the members' talents continued to plague the group. Aside from viewers of Are You Next, even members of the general public could immediately tell that Wonhee lacked experience, as she often struggled with difficult choreography and looked nervous on stage despite being the group's center. Worse yet, all the members, especially Mocha and Iroha, also received a lot of hate for their vocals. Much like Sserafim, videos of ILLIT's encore stages and MR removed performances also started going viral, with many netizens even comparing the two groups' singing skills. And this has since caused HYBE to develop a reputation amongst the general public for producing artists with bad vocals. But singing issues aside, ILLIT is also facing another even bigger problem, and that is their concept. You see, right from the start, many people immediately noticed the similarities between ILLIT and NewJeans' concept. And initially, fans speculated that maybe NewJeans had collaborated with ILLIT, or maybe they're meant to be sister groups or something. But as it turns out, these two groups were anything but friendly sisters. And before long, Hee Jin would come forward directly accusing ILLIT of plagiarizing NewJeans, which brings us to the speculated internal feud between the girl groups at HYBE. So remember how I mentioned Hee Jin's infamous press conference? Well, that was the first time the public was made aware of the supposed rivalries between the 3 girl groups that we have mentioned so far. So it turns out that Hee Jin was initially hired by HYBE to debut a new girl group under Source Music, and this girl group was actually supposed to be NewJeans. That's right guys, NewJeans was initially supposed to be from Source Music. So why did they end up in Adore instead, you might be wondering? Well, this is where we have to go off Hee Jin's version of events, so take it as you will. However, HYBE's chairman, producer Bang, didn't believe in Hee Jin's vision, probably because NewJeans' concept was so different from what was on trend at the time. But apparently, preparations at Source Music were going smoothly at first, like they had already recruited all the members, produced all the songs, and NewJeans was literally ready to debut. However, HYBE's chairman, producer Bang, apparently didn't believe in Hee Jin's vision, probably because NewJeans' concept was so different from the girl crush type of concept that was trending at the time. According to Hee Jin, producer Bang suddenly went behind her back and signed on high-profile artists like Sakura and Chaewon from IZ*ONE, as well as Yeonjin, who was a famous trainee from Produce 48, and he began forming a group around them instead, which we now know as Sserafim. As for NewJeans, they were apparently thrown into the basement, and producer Bang began pouring all of Source Music's resources and hopes into Sserafim's debut. For instance, even though NewJeans was already prepared to debut, he forced them to delay it just so that Sserafim could debut first and be known as HYBE's first original girl group, which if you watch part 1, you'll know why that was so important. This caused Hee Jin to realize that Source Music's priority was clearly Sserafim, and it didn't seem like they cared about debuting NewJeans at all. So she apparently demanded that HYBE give her her own label so that she could ensure NewJeans could proceed with their debut, and that was apparently what led to the formation of Adore. As we now know, Adore ended up debuting NewJeans in July of 2022, which was just 2 months after Sserafim, and this once again caused the two groups to have to fight over promotion times and debut budgets. But despite always receiving the short end of the stick, and getting much less support from HYBE, NewJeans somehow defied the odds and ended up being arguably even more successful than the Sserafim. Hee Jin claims that this was when producer Bang started becoming jealous of her success, and he would apparently send sarcastic congratulatory messages and try to sabotage NewJeans at every turn.
근데 이게 제가 왜 이거를 캡처했냐면 이게 뉴진스가 OMG 빌보드 핫백 올라갔었을 때 처음 디토로. 근데 그 전까지 시영님은 저희 뉴진스 나왔을 때 축하한단 말도 안 했었고 아무런 얘기 없었거든요. 아무런 얘기가 없었어요. 근데 갑자기 이거 뉴진스 나오고 이거 빌보드 핫백에 오르고 나서 저한테 축하합니다. 이 위에 축하합니다가 있어요. 축하합니다. 근데 갑자기 즐거우세요? 라고 보내주고 저는 그때 되게 이게 의도가 이상하게 당연히 즐거운데 이걸 왜 묻지? 어투가 과거랑 되게 달라지지 않았나요?
However, when all of this didn't work and NewJeans continued to become more and more successful, Hee Jin claims that producer Bang suddenly switched tactics and decided to copy NewJeans instead, which is where ILLIT comes in. According to Hee Jin, the fact that the two groups had such similar concepts, styling, and choreography was no accident, especially because producer Bang had gotten personally involved in the production of ILLIT and had apparently spent over $109 million on their debut, which would make it almost 10 times the budget that NewJeans received for their debut. And all of this combined has caused Hee Jin to believe that producer Bang had purposely created ILLIT to try and take down NewJeans. Hee Jin claims that she then tried to raise complaints about ILLIT's concept, but she says that HYBE repeatedly ignored her and tried to get rid of her instead, which explains why they suddenly accused her of trying to take over Adore. Of course, this is just Hee Jin's version of events, and HYBE has obviously denied this, so we don't know how much of it is actually true and how much of it isn't. But what we do know for sure is that there's definitely some evidence that NewJeans is being ostracized by the rest of HYBE. For example, all the other HYBE artists regularly collaborate and promote each other's music, yet there have been almost no interactions between NewJeans and the other HYBE artists. On this anonymous employee gossip site called Blind, HYBE employees were also spotted posting backhanded comments about the NewJeans members, and even producer Bang, who regularly posts about almost every artist at HYBE, has suspiciously excluded NewJeans from his social media. But perhaps the worst rivalry of all seems to be between NewJeans and ILLIT, with ILLIT's creative director posting this Instagram story, which was speculated to be directed at Hee Jin. And during ILLIT's debut, every single HYBE group also received a signed copy of ILLIT's album and proceeded to congratulate them on social media. Well, everyone except for NewJeans. Even the NewJeans members themselves personally spoke out about this issue in their recent livestream, with Hani mentioning that another HYBE group was told to ignore her when they walked past her in the hallway.
그 하이브 건물의 4층이 헤어랑 메이크업을 받는 층이거든요. 그래서 다른 아티스트 분들도 되게 많이 왔다 갔다 하시고 다른 직업분들도 많이 왔다 갔다 하신 그런 공간이에요. 그래서 어떤 날에 제가 혼자 복도에서 기다리고 있었는데 그 다른 팀원분들이랑 그 그쪽 매니저님 한 분이 저를 지나가셨어요. 그래서 저희 서로 잘 인사 나눠드렸고 했는데 그분들이 다시 좀 이따 나오셨을 때 그쪽 매니저님이 무시해라고 하셨거든요. 제 앞에서. 제가 다 질리고 보이는데.
And this situation has now gotten so big that Hani has even been summoned for a National Assembly audit on workplace harassment. All of this just seems to confirm that NewJeans is indeed being excluded by the rest of HYBE. However, the reasons behind this exclusion is really a chicken or egg situation. Is NewJeans really being targeted because producer Bang is jealous of their success? Or could everyone at HYBE just be avoiding NewJeans because they're annoyed at the accusations that Hee Jin has brought up against the other artists in the company? We'll never know. Regardless of whose side you're on though, I think we can all agree that this situation has been handled terribly. If you haven't noticed, the disagreements are actually between the executives at the different sub-labels. Yet instead of dealing with these issues behind closed doors, they're choosing to air out all their problems publicly, which is just causing their own stock prices to fall. They're gossiping about each other on social media, and worst of all, they're using their own girl groups as pawns in their workplace drama. Like, nobody is winning here. So yeah, that's the sad state of affairs at HYBE currently. As many people have already pointed out, the root cause of HYBE's issues seems to be their ever-growing multi-label system. Obviously, it is impressive that HYBE has grown so much over such a short space of time, but this multi-label system has resulted in so much infighting between these sub-labels and so many internal rivalries between their own groups, which must make for such a toxic work environment. Not to mention, there also doesn't seem to be much quality control at HYBE, and these sub-labels have just been debuting groups left and right without spending enough time on training, which has just set these artists up for tons of criticism from the public, and it has even caused HYBE to develop a reputation as the Shein of K-pop. Definitely not a good reputation to have. Like, I understand that HYBE may have gotten unlucky with Glam and maybe Hee Jin, but aside from that, all of the other issues that they've faced are completely preventable, which is why many people now believe that HYBE's girl group curse isn't a curse at all, but rather the results of HYBE's questionable decisions over the years. But sadly, despite these obvious problems, HYBE doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. They just recently debuted yet another girl group called Cat's Eye and are planning to debut even more groups throughout Latin America and Japan. So will HYBE's string of bad luck continue? Be sure to let me know what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, then I'd really appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye! Thank you for watching, and special thanks to my Patreon members for supporting my channel. If you'd like to watch reaction videos and other bonus content, then be sure to check that out on my Patreon.